Hello artists! Today we will be making a graphic style animal inspired by the artist Erik Abel. We will be using chalk pastels in our handout to help us get our project started. Looking at my handout, there are 4 different animals I can choose from. The bear, owl, and bobcat are all animals where the paper needs to be vertical or up and down. If I choose to do the winter buck, that animal has really wide antlers, so I should turn my paper horizontally side to side. I've decided to go with the bear, so I arrange my paper vertically. Now I'm going to fold my paper in half so that my vertical paper is tall and thin. Make sure to take time on this step to really line up your edges and corners. If you're not sure that you did it right, ask a partner at your table for help. The crease side is your line of symmetry. That's the side of the paper that we will be drawing half of our bear on. Make sure you double check with a friend to make sure you are on the crease side. Start by looking at the handout and figuring out how far down your paper you should go to start for the top of your animal. I notice that there's only a little bit of space below the top of the paper and where my bear has to start. Once you feel ready, use your chalk pastel to draw the simple shapes and lines you see. Start with the big lines and simple shapes first. Consider the proportions. How far over should your lines and shapes go across the page? How far down? Take your time and go slow. Use the handout to help guide you and your animal. If you do make a mistake though, you can rub the chalk away and just try again. We're going to be painting on top of these lines anyway, so don't worry if you still see the chalk because it's going to be covered up soon with paint. You can always also think of it just as a beautiful oops. Now that I have the basics of my bear drawn, I'm going to unfold the paper and lay it flat. We're actually going to fold our paper in half again so that the bear is now hidden inside the folded paper. We will then rub the paper. This is going to help transfer the other side of the bear to the other part of the paper. Make sure that you take your time to line up the edges and the corners as best you can. Now you're going to firmly but carefully rub the paper so that the pastel transfers inside. Open up your page to see your symmetrical animal chalk transfer. You may notice that the chalk is pretty light, but there are some ghostly lines that I can see on the opposite side of the page. Using those as a guide, I'm going to go over them with my chalk so that now I am left with a very symmetrical animal. Now that we have our symmetrical animals, we will finish creating them in Erik Abel's graphic style. We can do this by adding simple shapes and lines inside and outside the animal that intersect and create new shapes within. Each new shape created will later be a different color, pattern, or design. You can also add lines outside of your bear. Now we are ready to paint over the Erik Abel inspired animals. Make sure to always wash, wipe, and dry your brush between colors. If you want to make a new color, you can actually mix the colors directly on top of each other on the paper. Here I start with some pink, then I wash, wipe, and dry my brush. I go get some white, and then I mix the white right on top of that wet pink to create a lighter pink. I actually like that pink color and decided to use it in a different shape within my bear painting. I don't want to use that same color right next to the shape though that already has pink, so I make sure to do it far away so that it's not touching the same pink color. You might notice even when I wash my brush, there's still paint on it sometimes. You really have to get in there, scrub it on the bottom, double check your work, make sure that we are keeping our paints fresh and clean and our brush is clean and dry. Go ahead and continue to fill in your graphic bear using different colors in the different shapes, making sure that the same color isn't touching anywhere. Try your best to stay inside the lines. I noticed while painting that some of it is kind of see-through. You can always do a second layer to make the colors thicker or more opaque. After the painting dried, I used oil pastels to re-outline the different shapes and the lines of my bear. I also used pastels to go back in and add details, patterns, or designs in some areas like zigzags, swirls, polka dots. Can't wait to see what you make. Have fun!